Natural disasters continue to take a toll on the farm sector. It's estimated that agricultural losses in 2023 exceeded $21 billion, with roughly half of this amount not covered by crop insurance or the non-insurance crop disaster assistance program. U.S. Senator Roger Marshall now working to secure stronger funding for ag disaster relief programs. He joins us now for an update. Senator, thank you so much for being here. We'll start with the impact of natural disasters on our farmers and ranchers and how they've been coping. What have you been hearing from the community?
Yeah, well, Suzanne, I don't have to tell your listeners how tough Mother Nature is. Like my dad used to say, farming is the biggest gamble out there. Kansas, for 2 years in a row, had a horrible drought. Maybe we're coming out of it right now. I don't want to shout too soon. It's storm season, so need the rain, but keep the hell. But you're right. The crop insurance maybe covers half of these losses. Record losses going on the past couple of years, partly because of input costs, right? With fertilizer and natural gas and fertilizer and diesel prices going up, as well as interest rates, has really impacted our farmers. So we are trying to work with USDA on these non-crop insurance programs. What they did last year, for whatever reason, they were paying absentee farmers more than the people out there doing the hard work on the farm itself on a per acre basis. So we're asking them to go back to the way they did it for years. They called it a phase one. My farmer is very upset with this phase two, the way USDA did the payments this past season. So we're trying to right that wrong.
So what you're talking about, Senator, USDA's emergency relief payment plan, really the money not going to those who are working full time on the farm families who are dedicating their life. You feel it's just not going to the right people.
You nailed it, Suzanne. And you said it perfectly. And no one can explain to me the reasoning of this. Absentee owners, God bless them. We appreciate it. But the people that are out there working every day, milking those cows 3 days a week, doing something in the field every day for 365 days a year, sun up to sundown's a short day when I worked on the farm. So you're right. So we want to make sure the payments get to those people who are doing the work themselves. I don't understand why they're rewarding absentee farmers.
I know that, Senator, you're calling for really, and I think I'm quoting you as a robust, adequate funding for farmers and ranchers. Talk a little bit more about the financial support that you would like to see.
Yeah, well, essentially it's going to take more. Unfortunately, again, I go back to the input costs that are going on, record loss in farm income, record decline in farm income last year as well, coming off a couple tough seasons. I know from Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas with the droughts, Colorado, New Mexico as well. So we do need a little bit more funding to help with these ERP payments.
Well, Senator, switching gears right now, the House and Senate Ag Committee leaders have released summaries of proposed farm bills in preparation for a markup later this month. Some of the highlights from the Senate Democrats' framework, what are you looking at? What stands out here?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm excited just to see some meaningful movement, to get something in writing from the Democrats on the Senate side. And make no mistake about it, what we're seeing are Democrat priorities on the Senate bill that we're looking at. And when you think about Democrat priorities, it's always going to be the nutrition programs, which I'm all for. So we went from $60 billion a year for nutrition programs with the last farm bill, and now we're spending $180 billion a year. So we've tripled the nutrition programs, and we asked for a little bump in crop insurance to the tune of $400 million a year. All we're asking for a bump of $400 million a year in crop insurance. Meanwhile, the nutrition programs went from $60 to $180 billion. I think that's a challenge for us right now. We have to overcome a little bit of concern about some of the conservation programs, the way the Democrats have set this up. It's a little bit over prescriptive. So for instance, requiring a cover crop to do some of the EQIP programs is just it's unmanageable in the western half of my state. Cover crops don't work in the western half of Kansas. There's simply no moisture left. We need a little bit more focus on water conservation, a little less focus on the amount of carbon going in the air. And of course, farmers, we're all concerned about the carbon that we're releasing, but water is still the scarcest commodity out there.
So still a lot more work left to be done. Senator, we thank you for fighting the good fight on behalf of all farmers and producers. Always a pleasure to have you join us here on RFDTV.
Thanks, Suzanne. I'm honored to do it.
You bet. U.S. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas. Again, thank you.